Hi, Felix. Thanks a lot for taking time out of your busy schedule for this call. And basically, in this call, we're going to go over your FE exam preparation journey and your PE power exam preparation journey, both of the exams, which you basically took and used my resources as well and passed in the first attempt. So let's start with your FE exam preparation journey. Um, when did you actually graduate?
I finished school in December of 2015, but by that time they weren't given the diplomas or the grade
Right.
until June or May. So official, it was May of 2016, but I started working in January 2016. So
I
I
see.
even went to my graduation. I was like, this is vacation. I mean, I've been working 6 months. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm just gonna enjoy it, right?
Yeah. No, that I mean, for me it was like 3 months difference, but yeah, I can relate to it. I was working full time. I took the day off from full time work, and I was going
Yeah.
to the school. And like, I don't have to give any exam. I don't have to take any classes. It's just like sit back, relax, and there are other people clapping for your achievements,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's a nice
Definitely.
feeling. So let's say 2015 you were done, and then you took that fee when?
uh, this November 2019.
Okay, so within like
So
5 years,
yeah, a little bit. Like
four-ish.
yeah, I think three and something. Because 5 years of experience was this January.
Oh, okay,
So it
I see.
was 3 and 11 months.
Okay, almost 4 years.
Yes.
And you passed the exam in the first attempt.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was the exam preparation? What resources you used? What was your approach?
So I went through Google and essentially search average time for studying, especially if you've been out of school for a while. And in Amazon, your books came out, and then it said, "Hey, you should an average 3 months of study time." And my
I think it's
approach
four
was,
months.
look
I
at
think
there,
it's
four
yeah.
months, and
Yes.
it should be 4 months because
Yes.
even when I took the exam, I was like, I should have maybe focused a little bit more on different things, but I went through Amazon, I bought your guide, and the guide and the three exams. But the guide, I think, was the most important thing because the guide would take you through from the easiest problems through the hardest, and basically would make a foundation
Right.
for the knowledge. But for the FE, I think the key is from day one, even whatever resource you're using, you should have the reference handbook from the
Very
NCEE.
important. You cannot overemphasize that. Yeah.
Because you can practice and make 1,000 exercises, but there's only 110.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to navigate through the reference handbook, I mean, it's the same as a P. If you don't know how to navigate through the code, you're lost.
Exactly. So how did the study guide help you with familiarization of NCS?
Yeah, so it helped in the fact that I've been out of school for a while, so it kind of dusted off, especially in math and a little bit of the foundations of electrical and computer, because I haven't worked with block diagrams. I did a little bit of my work, but not to that extent. It's a little bit more with times and cycles and all that. And the reference, the guideline would walk you through the different things and emailing you, right? So going through the guide, I don't understand this, emailing you and say, hey, I don't know where I'm at right now, and you would step by step would put out there the how to do that problem. Even if probably was I went from the hardest to the easiest. I mean, and I had doubts on a lot of them because it's been a long time. I mean, people don't give they don't understand dusting off for the FE. It's way harder than the PE because usually once you pass your FE, you should immediately go to your PE.
Yeah,
So you
I highly
have your
recommend that.
foundation. Yes. And
Yeah,
you have your study pattern, right?
exactly.
Because that's
You have the momentum on your side.
yeah, because man, I would say the first couple of weeks of studying is like, okay, you're working 10
The
hours
most
a day.
difficult.
And so
Yeah.
you have to eat, you have family, you have friends, you have a lot of things. And I asked like people who have failed or people who have taken it, and they would say the biggest difference is time. If you don't put in the time
No.
and you have the right resource,
Yeah.
you're wasting your time.
Yeah. And you passed that FE exam in the first attempt, right? So you used the study
Yes.
guide, second edition at that time, and the 3 practice exams. And you
Yes.
think that those resources helped you enough to prepare for the exam and take it on confidently?
Oh, most definitely, because you have on your website basically a guide of how you should, like, week by week. So even though I didn't take the course, I went through the material somewhat, right? The material, hey, you should this week you should be doing this, this week you should be doing that, and that kind of, it organizes you furthermore. And you could, when you're taking the exams, especially a couple of weeks before the test, you're setting yourself up to the environment, right? You're in a closed room, you take a bedroom, you're closed out, you're using your reference. So you set your timer for your 5 hours. Here's just when you're going to take a break. So you have, it's not only practicing a lot, it's also getting your mind and your body ready for that environment.
Yeah.
Because you're out there alone.
Yeah.
You have like 15 minutes between the parts. So
Right.
and after the first part, you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't know how to feel about this. And the
Yeah.
second part is a little bit more focused on the computer and electrical. So I think, believe it or not, I think I did better on the second half than the first one, because the
Yep.
first one is just information thrown at you.
You're one of the very few ones who basically feel that way. I generally think that, and I know based on my personal experience as well, that the second half tends to be a lot more focused on ECE. It is because just the nature of the second half, and by the time you reach the second half, your energy is gone, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good change to hear from students that someone found the second half easier. But I'm pretty sure that you prepared well enough for it, you planned accordingly, and that's why it felt easier, right? Because you can one of the best ways to gain confidence is to over prepare. Okay, I don't
Yes.
recommend necessarily over preparing for everyone, but if you can afford the time and
Yes.
the energy and the effort, over prepare for anything which is very important for you, right? And that's just a general approach I take in life. If something is super important, very critical, you cannot afford to basically underperform, then just over prepare, and that
Yes.
will, if not guarantee, then at least increase the probability that you will basically get through it. Okay. For PE power exam preparation, now I know that right after you passed your FE, you sent me an email and you're like, Wasim, I want to start with PE, what resources you have. I told you about my PE power exam preparation course. You enrolled into the course right away. You got the study guide for PE power exam preparation. And then I don't think you even spared a day and you started preparing. At least that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I think I took. So a funny story. When I passed the FE, I was actually in Spain.
Oh, okay.
So it was a Tuesday on like
You're chilling in Spain? Were you vacationing in Spain?
Yeah. I was
nice.
in where does Barcelona.
Oh, nice.
I was in Barcelona. We were in a church and my wife was with me, and I said, I can't even open this. And she was the one that opened the email, and we saw the pass and we celebrated, but we were still on that. I was still on that phase, right? You're still celebrating, and it was November. So I believe I began studying for the PE the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that you spared any time.
No.
And unfortunately, I mean, frustration. The frustrating fact is that I think you were ready to take the exam in April 2020. It got canceled. You were ready definitely in October 2020. It got canceled, and for you the challenge was to keep the momentum because you were preparing so hard, and then you took the exam in December. You're one of the very first few students I would imagine. When did you? 4th of December, 1st of December?
No, the first. So it was the
First, yes.
first day.
You were one of those students who took it on the very first day. I have a few
I'm
other students
going
as
in.
well.
I mean,
Yes. And you got it done. You got it done in the first attempt. Walk me through your PE Power exam preparation. I know you extensively used the course and the study guide.
Yes. So the course, I believe, was the most important thing, because the study guide was well and good, but the course, you would walk through the different elements and the different the theoretical part, right, of the different subjects laid out on the NCEE outline. And so you would take it through each individual thing, and you would take it straight from the outline. So it wasn't like you started here and then you went through another thing. No, this is how the guideline went. So you took that as a guide, and I thought that was the most amazing thing. But the second was that through the year you change it and update it based on the changes that NCEE was doing.
Yeah, starting out when you were preparing for the April, it was open book. When you're preparing for the October, it was open book. In August 2020, they changed it, and I basically went back to the drawing
Yeah.
board and
Yeah.
I sped through it and made sure that it was all updated. And
Yes.
I'm always adding more content to it.
Yeah.
So you took the December 1st, which from December 1st, 2020 onwards now, it's all closed book, reference handbook style, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it's up to date, and on a routine basis, I'm adding more content to it.
Oh yeah.
So
And
how
even the quizzes, like when you go
Yeah.
through you change even the quizzes
I
based
added.
on the
I
reference
mean,
handbook. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I add more content to it. Things that I feel like okay, they are too easy or they're taking more real estate,
Yeah.
then I've updated. So so you talked about the depth of the course. You talked about the organization. I know PE exam, to be honest, I don't know if you agree with me or not, is more difficult than FE. Okay,
Yes.
it's just an overall, it's a more
Yes.
difficult exam. It's a lot more fun, a lot more exciting exam to prepare for because it you're studying what you're basically doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Helps you to. Why would you recommend somebody my PE Power Exam preparation course?
If you have been away from school, and also I would recommend for each person. It doesn't matter if you just straight came out of school, if you've been working for 20 years, or if you're doing even. I've met even people that graduated from a different engineering that was in EE, and I said you should take this course because even though you haven't definitely probably went through the different subjects back in school, Wasim would take you, I would say, baby steps all the way till this is how you have to do it. And you would go with the NCEE. So not only are you preparing for your job, you're also preparing for the test, primarily for the test, obviously, but
yes.
Definitely on the protection side and the phasers, the phase vectors, and
Symmetrical components per unit,
all that.
all the theoretical, conceptual, abstract things that, to be honest, and sorry to interrupt you, but these are the concepts that, to be honest, I find like a lot of engineers, power systems engineers, you go through the courses when you're doing your undergraduate or graduate studies, but very rarely somebody takes the time to absorb like what does a symmetrical component really means.
Yes.
What do these phasers, how does a capacitor help you with voltage stability, right? A capacitor is one device, but what does it have to do with, okay, power factor correction, everyone knows, but how does a voltage stability comes into play unless you start looking at the phasers, you have to go into that level of depth. And I intentionally mentioned during the course, during some lectures that, guys, if you're just preparing for the PE, you're done, right? But if you want to learn more about, let's say, grounding, so this lecture is for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we discuss an hour long, there's an hour long content on different types of grounding and this and that. So I'm glad that you found it that way, and then and it helps you pass the exam in the first attempt. And my last question for you, Felix, how has the PE licensing journey helped you with your career? So passing the FE and then passing the PE, how has it helped you in the short term, and what do you see for yourself in the long term?
Well, it enabled me to switch somewhat careers. So I was a field services test engineer. So I would go on the field and test the protection systems and layouts through the states. But it was mainly it's a technical job. You do engineering, but not to the extent of designing and planning, right? So it enabled me to switch to what I wanted in my career, which was to be more of an engineering role in design. And so I believe the PE helped me get my job.
Right. And I know when you started looking for jobs and when you were going through the process, you actually had multiple offers.
Yes.
Which is really impressive. You want to be in the driving seat in your career.
Oh yeah. And most of it is, relationships. You build a lot of relationships through this journey. And you don't stop, and you have to keep adapting to the different things, because every other year's company comes up with it. GE or Schweitzer comes up with a new relay, and then you have to change everything. So I think our industry would continue to adapt. And the good thing about it is I think we'll have work till we die. I mean, there's so much
you don't
work
have to worry
out there.
about that. Just focus, just keep on focusing as to how you can add value, and then you don't have to worry about anything, right?
Yes.
So continue developing your career, learning new skills, completing new projects, taking on challenging roles, and everything else will fall in its place.
Yes.
Right? You can do what you just have to focus on your self development and bringing more value to the table, essentially.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And you're very I know, hardworking, focused, career oriented, and a person who continuously believes in self improvement. You just completed your PMP as well, right after completing your PE. I don't know what else you have in next in line,
I don't know.
but
well, I told my wife that after the PMP, I would take a break.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I think by the time you're done with everything, there won't be enough space in your email signature to fill up all the credentials. So keep accumulating all of that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, what else are you gonna do? Take a break.
Yeah, throw an MBA there, throw LLB there. So that would be helpful. All right, it was really nice chatting with you, Felix, and I look forward to staying in touch with you, and then your future career achievements. I'm confident you're going to do well, and I would say you've got a really strong foundation now with the PE license out of the way, and now you can capitalize on it and keep proving yourself and keep improving yourself as well, and it will pay dividends for the rest of your career.
Definitely. Thank you a lot. It was a fun journey. It was a lot of ups and downs, especially with that PE being canceled, but it's worth it. Whatever it is that you want to get out of it, you're going to get it, right?
Exactly.
And you're going to get out what you put in.
Exactly.
So if you go halfway, you're going to receive halfway, unless you're a genius that can, study a little bit and get into it. Yeah. But it's a hard journey. There's a reason why it's the PE exam with the most fails, and on the first attempt and on the second attempt.
Oh yeah, 75%.
Yeah. So but it just makes you feel way better when you're on the other side. And it doesn't matter if you fail the first time, just keep on going. Because when you open up your website, your NCEE profile, it says pass. It doesn't say after 7.
Yeah, and you're basically done at that time.
And you're done. Just focus on your PDH and just keep on learning and improving, and understand that as engineers, you have a big responsibility, not only to the people, but also to those learning under you, and just keep on learning and adapting.
It's a craft. It's basically a craft that you pass on, right? And especially with power systems engineering, you'll find that to become a good power systems engineer, it takes a lot of time, right? It's not something that you can read out of a book. I mean, obviously you have to read stuff out of the books, you have to accumulate knowledge, but then there's a lot of practical aspect to it, a lot of things that you accumulate. And then if somebody is willing to share that with you, that's great. Otherwise, I'm going to take you extra long. But when you're in a position when you have knowledge, share it. Because knowledge grows with sharing.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, Felix, thanks again for your time, and I wish you best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.